and me.
Ooh.
We in here. Welcome, 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 welcome. Come on, lights, camera, action. Said I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Remix. Oh,
Oh,
remix. You don't remember that link?
no.
You know, he listened
Remix.
to Christian music. You know,
Who? Who? I hear it now. I hear
That's
the
my
echo.
phone. Oh, because y'all done came on my phone too. Look at
Yeah,
that.
we're
Okay.
live.
Wow.
Welcome. As much as Angel try to have us together,
I
we it just don't be. It just don't be. But this is live. This is authentic. This is in living color. Welcome everybody to the dynamic duos and myself. I am Brysen Williams with Sweet Spot Media, and we have the illustrious Angel Simmons
Ooh,
and
let's
the I was trying to work on my words today, my word usage. Um and the teacher, the
uh-huh.
scholar,
Hmm.
Mr. LeAnzar Stockley. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very
You,
much.
you,
Appreciate
you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Riddle me this. Riddle me this. Um, is this just a silly game that forces you to act this way? Forces you to scream my name, then pretend that you can't stay.
Mm.
Tell me who I have to be
it.
to gain some reciprocity. See, no one loves you more than me, and no one ever will.
Mm.
Mm.
So, welcome to Sweet Spot Media. The show is named Reciprocity, the Give Back. And this show is meant to center and focus on just that reciprocity, giving back. And a lot of people, may know this word from Miss Lauren Hill, from the X Factor. Um, but what does it really mean, and how do you apply it to daily life, situationships, relationships, connections, connectivity, just to your life in general? Because it should be a daily insert. It should be a daily action that occurs. So, for those of you who are curious, so you can know how to act accordingly after today's show,
Mm.
and you can make sure that your reciprocity levels are where they need to be. Reciprocity is a noun. It is defined as the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit, especially privileges granted by one or another. So, what does that really mean? In a situation or a relationship in which two people or groups agree to do something similar for each other to allow each other to have the same rights. So, you take care of me, I'm going to take care of you. I love you, you love me. Now, we might display our love, our affection, our care, our concern in different fashions, which would have to be accepted and understood by both parties, but it should be reciprocated. It should be fair. It should be even. So I want to ask my two geniuses, for this weekend in particular, what type of reciprocity did you receive or did you share this weekend?
Oh, you doing that?
I am. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Oh. Hmm.
Yeah, drink your water.
Not just my water.
I know it was blood.
We having communion? Wait, nobody told me.
I needed to have a sip for that one.
Oh.
I'll
So,
give you.
what
I
type
get.
of reciprocity did we give this week?
Did you
Give
give
or receive.
or did you receive?
Oh,
Because it's
okay. So both.
twofold. It's interchangeable. It's exchangeable. So either whichever one stands out to you the most, and just to be clear for everybody who's listening, it's not about I did this for you, now you do this for me. But sometimes it does pop. Sometimes it's like, dang, man, I was sometimes you think you're not doing much, and you might be struggling with not doing much for your person or for your people or for your for your tribe, and somebody might just call you out and be like, man, you've been a strong tower, you've been a crutch, you've been an anchor, you've been all these things, and I just wanted to do this for you because you've been such a great person, such a great character. So I mean, know your personnel. People will value you in ways that you don't value yourself in real life anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Well, I'll go first. I'll say this because you guys know I do mental health support groups and all that other stuff or whatever. And particularly this week in one of my grief groups, I'm going to say that it was a reciprocity situation that happened on both ends.
Okay.
I'm the facilitator, but I don't just go in as like the expert or whatever. I receive from these groups as well, and I think
Mm-hmm.
all of us being in that space together a few days ago, earlier this
Mm-hmm.
week, all of us being in that space together and holding space for each other. It was an energy
Mm-hmm.
unmatched. It was an energy unmatched anywhere else. It was matched there, and you could feel that there was just fulfillment happening from having that shared space.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very reciprocal kind of space for me
Mhm.
this
just
week.
just positive energy, good vibes, just sharing of the good frequencies. You feel that energy, you feel it in your soul. And when it's good
Mm-hmm.
energy, like in around you in your space or in your being or whatever, you just feel that. And when it's mutual, even in that quiet space or whatever, sometimes you'll feel that. So it's not anything in particular per se, but just sharing that space with those people,
Yeah,
giving and receiving
and knowing that that we were all holding space for each
for each
other.
other.
And
Mm-hmm.
again, y'all know me. I'm pretty transparent, so it's like I generally don't approach anything as the expert.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm a member, although I'm the facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
I see myself also as a member of this group.
Sure. Like the
I'm
hair
in this.
club for men.
There you go.
There you
There you
go.
go. I'm not only a client. I mean, I'm not only the president. I'm also a
Well,
client.
Men's
see,
warehouse.
That's why I got a hat on right now.
see,
Yeah.
Oh my
see.
God.
Come on. See how it all come together?
That's
It
cool.
all come together.
That's cool. Well, I mean, I got a pretty good example. For the last 2 weeks, people have been giving me something in particular, and if you saw my Sunday brunch post this afternoon, then you know banana pudding happened this morning or last night, this morning, whatever. Um, I have a dear friend loaded me up with a huge bag of bananas week before last. The lunch lady at work has given me a bag of bananas 3 weeks in a row. Every week she shows up and puts these on the table. She's giving them out. I guess they were, food left over from the school or whatever, but she's giving the staff bananas. So there has been a plethora
Come on,
of
trick or treat, bananas.
banana bread and banana pudding, banana pancakes. It's just stuff coming out of my kitchen. But I've been blessing other people, so
I just want to be. I wonder if it's a blessing with my name on it.
it's always a
I've
blessing with
been.
you.
I just was just. I just been waiting. Been
But
waiting.
but people give me things and I produce, you know, harvest. The harvest is coming out of here. So there's been a banana dessert harvest coming out of my house.
Mm,
So
okay.
hush, just hush, just just hush.
I am gonna hush.
Hey Lafayette.
I ain't gonna say. I ain't gonna say what I'm thinking. Lafayette. I done heard this man's name said all kind of ways.
Lafayette.
Yeah.
How you say his name? Lafayette.
I call him Laffy.
Laffy. What did he say?
Mhm.
He says, Lafayette says, I had a session with my youth and pulled his brother into the session. And for the first time, the younger brother told the older brother how he felt about a situation. And the older brother apologized. And this wasn't my original intent, but wow, but it was powerful, especially with young men. That's awesome. And
Mhm.
siblings, young men and siblings. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Yeah, that probably broke, probably facilitated a space of comfort and a healthy space for them to break, some chains, man. That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
very awesome.
It
No,
is.
that's cool. I
That's
saw
powerful.
some when I was looking up definitions and synonyms and all that other stuff. One of the words that I saw was amends in
Hmm.
relation to reciprocity. So I like that story because it really goes with that. You know, people making amends as part of the relational give and take. It's crucial.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. The relational give and take, it is very crucial, and unfortunately, it often gets misconstrued, or not even by um, the other person or the other people, but sometimes certain people feel that they need to bring a certain kind of XYZ to a group, and that ain't even what the group really need. That might not be your assignment. You might not have understood your assignment from the powers that be, or
Mm.
whatever, whatever the case may be, or whatever the flow is for that group. And oftentimes, reciprocity gets kind of um, misconstrued. Have you guys experienced any of that recently, or have a particular story that you could share about with that?
Where it's misconstrued. That word you
You
just
was, you was
used.
about to say it. Come on, you was about to let all that Chicago come out. Yes,
He from Chicago.
yes.
Oh,
Go.
always one. There's
Is there
always
one?
somebody that got to say we ain't from Chicago.
Is there one?
He from Chicago.
Ooh.
Chicago adjacent.
Oh, Chicago adjacent. That's our thing. We are Chicago adjacent. Okay. Um, I think that I can't think of anything right now in the immediate instance of what you're saying, but I do know that a lot of times it's misconstrued in the sense or it's just misunderstand it. Misunderstand it. Y'all hear me today? Listen. I got a master's degree. I do. Um, it's misunderstood a lot of times in the sense that um, people just think it's a tit for tat kind of thing.
Mhm.
A tit for tat.
Mhm.
It's like, and the energy of it is not tit for tat. It is, yes, there's an exchange. There is a mutual benefit that can come, or a mutuality to it. I'll say a mutuality to it that kind of comes in, but it's always misconstrued as in, well, you did this for me, so I'm going to do this for you. And see, that's just like tit for tat stuff, or that can be looked at as tit for tat thing. I gave you $5, so then you give me $5, so then we say, oh, there's reciprocity in this relationship. But you know what really controls whether it was reciprocity or not? The energy behind it, the spirit behind it, the intent behind it, the
The
meaning
intention.
behind it.
Right.
And yes, and it's like, and if we could see based on spirit, or if we could see based on more than what just our natural eyes could see, man, it's so many things that we would recognize. The same action is not necessarily reciprocity.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Hmm.
Agreed.
Same action
Proceed.
given, yeah. So it's like it's really, what are you feeling that action with? What are you feeling that space with? What is the what would you call it? What is the emotion or motion, energy and motion behind it? And that's what makes it reciprocity. And that's what I think. When we talk about what comes from the heart reaches the heart,
Yeah.
I think that's when that stuff starts becoming real and alive.
Do you believe that reciprocity and co-regulation go hand in hand?
Co-regulation.
Hmm.
Hold on, let me go Google that.
Look, it ain't on my list.
That's
Co-regulation.
co-regulation.
Tell us,
Oh, that's
say more.
right.
Tell us more.
I remember her talking about that.
When we live, God, when we be live, Jesus, when we be live. Ooh. Yes. Per my previous email,
Mm-hmm.
co-regulation is when two people are in an intimate, attached relationship. They have the ability to soothe and calm each other's nervous system. This is because our brains are wired to seek out our partner's support through emotional and physical
I
closeness
remember now.
during difficult times. I know you do.
Yeah, I do remember. I was like, that word. But
Yeah,
yes, I
it
do.
is. Yeah.
I do. I really do think that they kind of go hand in hand, because see, the whole thing about reciprocity and all of this, man, yeah, it's like, and y'all know this is where I generally be coming from and why people think I'm crazy or nuts and just dumb. all of this is about oneness. Ultimately, it's about oneness. All right, reciprocity, integrity, interdependence. All of these things are relational words that moves us to that space of oneness. So co-regulation, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing, because the truth is, no matter how we try to get away from it, this is a part of how we thrive. No, we use statements like "no man's an island," or we need other people, we need each other, and this is and the other. And it's truth. It's not just a true thing. It's truth. And when I say truth, I'm talking about this is the way God designed it. He designed it for it to function this way. There is a piece of you that you do for you, but there's always going to be a spot you can't reach. There's always going to be
that itch you can't scratch.
That itch that you just that you have never be able to tickle yourself.
Well, now, okay.
One of the definitions that I came across, and I like that you use that word. One of the definitions I found was shared dependence. It was a shared dependence.
That's like codependency. Somebody don't like that word on this show.
Right, it was shared. They want to use
somebody does not like this word.
Yeah, I know. But I also saw something along the lines of it was the character of the actions.
I'm triggered.
You got your friend.
The character of the actions and reactions, and it also was about responding to someone with a positive action. It was like one positive action with another positive action, and positive was an important word in that sentence, as well as that character. When you think about relationships today, we talk about this exchange, I think for the most part, people have been deprived so long of fair and equal exchanges, right? So where we go into something, we're already at a deficit.
Right.
We're already at a deficit, trying to justify our needs and wants. We're already coming into a situation not feeling like we need that, or we're owed that.
Or coming into a situation already kind of empty, not even as full as we think we are. And still trying, but yet still trying to define what we think we need, or what we want, or what we're able to give.
Yeah, that's difficult.
It's very difficult.
And when you think about the character behind someone in that position or in that space, they're already at a deficit. They're already missing, this key part of themselves. They're trying to exchange and get this energy, or however you want to define it, from someone who has not been equal in that giving piece. So I think the spirit behind your giving changes when you're at a deficit already.
Well, sometimes I think people come in too like guarded, or I don't want to say guarded. Let me take that back, because I used the word guarded.
That's a good word.
Or come in protected, totally protected, all armor on, all whatever it is. So then the reciprocity is cut off anyway, because you come in not even expecting. And if you do run into somebody that's the real thing, you don't even know what to do with it.
Absolutely not.
And like you said, it's because we've had all of these. We've even if you haven't had something happen directly, we've seen enough. We've observed enough in the world. We've witnessed enough. We all got trauma from what we've seen. We may not call it that, but it's like of things that we've seen or somebody being taken advantage of, or some kind of whatever. So we're all approaching all of these relationships with a deficit, and we don't realize that we're approaching our relationships with some type of deficit
of some sort. Yeah.
And of some sort, and that co-regulation is needed and necessary for a relationship. This is why the words codependence and stuff like that kind of throw me off, because it's such a thin line. It is such a thin line. Put anybody on this planet and leave them by themselves, you're going to die. I hate to say it that way. So in a sense, we are dependent upon other people. The proper term would be interdependence, or whatever. But the root word of that is still dependent.
Mm-hmm.
It's still dependent. Now we're fine with other words: co-creator, co-worker, co-regulation, co-this, but we hate the word codependent. Because what we've done with it in psychology is we've turned it into a word that says you can't exist
That
or
has a
you don't
negative
exist
connotation.
without anybody else. So it's like
Exactly.
we've kind of it can be kind of like a semantics thing, but technically, y'all, we are kind of codependent. But the real word that we use more so is interdependent or
Because
whatever.
in all truth and actuality, that's how, like you said, that's how we're created. If it was just we were alone on earth, we would not remain. We need that energy and that connectivity and that that connection with people. um so it's codependence and interdependence, co-regulation, um all the things that
Shared dependence.
shared dependence, right? That are required, but the healthy part of it is the
Healthy is
healthy
the word.
part of it. That's
Mm-hmm,
what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be healthy. It's supposed
mm-hmm.
to be originated, on a foundation of truth and authenticity.
All of it
um
should be about us thriving,
Mm.
mhm,
and not depriving one another of something, or
mhm,
I'm having to suck you dry,
right.
you know. So yeah, yeah.
I
I
love
want
this question um, from Tiffany. Shouldn't we come and focus on the giving and not the deficit? I just saw,
Ooh,
um,
baby.
yeah, we should. I just saw a quote like in the last 48 hours, something along the lines of um, the hardest or most difficult relationship is a healthy one after a toxic one.
Mm,
hmm.
mm.
Say it one more time.
The hardest or most difficult relationship is a healthy one after a toxic one.
Yes, because you don't know how to
Mm.
receive that. You don't know how to be receptive to that.
You're
You
coming
have
in
been
at a deficit.
Yeah,
That's the word of the night.
yeah, yeah. You have
Coming
been
in.
you have been in such a toxic relationship or received toxic things for so long. You don't know how to receive healthy stuff when it's right there in your face, and then you got to go ahead and question yourself. Well, damn, what part did I play in this
Mm-hmm,
toxic relationship?
Mhm.
And that's
mm-hmm.
very hard for people to grasp and to understand and to acknowledge, because you have to be definitely self-aware, like, because other people can be mean and foolish and narcissistic, all the things, all the words. But after so long, you gotta, like one of our older shows, you gotta check yourself. You have to be real to yourself. Because we are designed for and made out of love. So if it ain't love, then it ain't right.
Ooh, that's just so
Mm.
simple, and it's what's that lady name?
Mm.
The rich lady, Oprah say, "Oh, it's
If it
tweetable,
ain't
it's tweetable, it's
if
tweetable."
it ain't love, then it ain't right.
That rich lady. Shout out to
Auntie
Oprah.
Oprah,
That's the
ATO,
thing.
ATO. I was over there the other week.
You was over.
ATO.
You was over there.
I was over there getting some avocados out of her garden. So,
Oh man, I want to shout out the folks that are in here and are chiming in quicker than we can respond. But we love it. We love it. We love it. Lafayette Young, thank you for tuning in. Rashana Taylor, Tiffany Cooper, Charles L.K., Will Rucker. Good morning. Oh, good talking, but good morning still. It's morning somewhere. Thank
I
you so
think this
much.
comment, death, fist, sit. I think that's how.
Is it a clap clap?
I have to
Uh,
say, you know,
is
he
it
ain't got
on the
to
two and the four,
don't
or how
ask
you?
him. He ain't the one to ask.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm a musician.
You got
Anyway,
the
see
choir
the
director.
reciprocity here. Ain't no reciprocity going on here. Did you see what I'm saying? That
Amen.
that way, if it ain't love, it ain't right.
Much.
See,
I'm gonna love you enough to tell you not to lead the clapping.
No,
That's what I'm gonna do tonight. Oh my
but
goodness.
honestly, I think it's very interesting, and this is where I think I tend to get in trouble in this relationship stuff. Like again, we're all coming in with something to work on, something but we approach it as if we got it together, or that as if we have it all together, or that every part. I'm in therapy right now. And we having some battles back and forth, me and this therapist, because I'm at a place in my life where there's a lot of things that I've done self, right? It's like, don't talk to me about self-love, self-care, self-what, but to a certain degree, I feel like my whole life has been self. I'm at a place now where I need y'all. I'm at a place now, but see, when you go to therapy and different things like that, the focus is, well, we don't want, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you, and let's talk, but again, which I understand as a therapist, or as one trained in therapy and counseling and all this stuff. So I get it, but at the same token, it's like there is a space where we truly have to look to the other. All right. That again, this is after you have initiated doing your work. Do your work, start doing your work. Now, you ain't going to have arrived in your work necessarily. You may have arrived one day, and then the next day you wake up and be like, dang, I thought I arrived. But there's a space where we truly, genuinely need the other. It's only 1/3 of the game. If it's not, there's you and God. Believe it or not, as powerful as that sounds, that's only 1/3 of your life. That's only 1/3 of the piece. When we're talking about a whole and a sense of oneness, that's just 1/3 of it. There's you and you. That's 2/3, I guess. But then you and you, me and you, and me and them, and me and whatever, that's another third. And we are not whole if any one of those places are out of order. Well, then you're gonna have to break it up into fifths.
You and y'all. Okay, you and y'all. Me and y'all.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And carry the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Instead of thirds, do fifths or eighths.
Okay. Or eighths.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Whew.
Thank you. I agree with that tremendously. I think it's very important that we allow ourselves to be around those who feed our soul, not those who eat it.
Ooh.
Yeah, be around those who feed your soul, not eat it.
My goodness.
Or those who just go about eating,
who are just
not actually bring it to the table. Because the truth is, if you're, and y'all know I always use trees. If that's an angel tree up there in that corner, this is a Brysen tree down here in this corner. This is a LeAnzar tree over here in this corner. We produce the fruit that we produce, not just so that we can look like a pretty angel, czar, and angel Brysen tree. We produce these fruit for people to eat. When people come to your garden, what do they have to eat? What's there? The thing is, what I think people generally, banana bread, exactly. The thing is, what I think people tend to forget is we're all the same species. So if you come to my tree and eat, guess what I have to do too?
I'm hungry.
I
have
because
to
when
eat
you come
too.
come to my tree to eat and reproduce.
Let's sup.
Let's
commune.
sup.
This
right?
is a picnic.
Don't come to the buffet.
A potluck. It's a
potluck.
potluck.
Potluck. No, we can't say picnic no more. This is a potluck.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not. You don't come to devour. Don't think it's a buffet. We're sup. Sup.
And I think that's a responsibility on all of us to recognize too, because I will admit I have not been a great receiver in my life. I haven't been a great receiver in my life. I'm so used to being in a position of feeling like I'm a provider and here to give, because here to me it's innocent. It's innocent because I'm just being what I think I know to be. I'm just being me. I show up as it's my natural inkling to protect, to provide, to even when people around me don't think that that's what I'm doing, and it can be misconstrued in ways, but it's like, that's my natural inclination. Now, the problem comes in. I'm going to ignore that. The problem comes in is when it's time for me to receive and I'm closed off to it. I'm closed off to it because I'm so used to my strong point of giving, my strong point of whatever. However, I don't believe it's my job. This is probably another conversation. I don't believe it's my job to make you give to me. And that's
That's
what I
it.
see people.
That's it.
That's what I see a lot of people doing.
Thank you for that segue. Thank you for that segue. Because we oftentimes get caught up in trying to convince people of our worth when they're not reciprocating in the fashion that they should be reciprocating in off top, not because based on your value. So
Mm,
allow yourself or forgive yourself for viewing someone's lack of reciprocity as a challenge for you to convince them your worth. I'm gonna say it
mhm,
again for the people in the back. Um, don't allow yourself someone's lack of reciprocity towards you. Don't allow that to be a challenge for you to convince them of your value and of your worth.
mhm.
Don't do that.
It what I'm learning about worth, it actually, because I wrote about this in this book here.
Oh, that's it.
Y'all
What's
see
it?
that?
Oh,
That's a
what's that?
book.
What's that?
This
What
is a
is
book.
that? Let me see. Let me
This is
see.
a book. A
See.
book. A
This is
book. A
a
what?
book.
A
A
book. A
book.
book. So this is
Hey,
a book, and it's called Relationality. But this tagline says, "What consciously aligning to our divine relational worth."
that's what it say.
Right. But here's the thing: in that conscious alignment, we have to realize worth is something that I really think has to be a revelation. When I say that I look at you and I look into your eyes and I see an endless heaven, that's a revelation to me. It's nothing you did. It's nothing you're doing. There's the earthly worth that we have and we ascribe to things. Oh, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. You better check your heart then. Somewhere you're out of touch with yourself if you think somebody next to you ain't worth it. If we're not seeing with our conscious eyes, our spirit eyes, we're seeing with our tit for tat eyes,
Ego.
our egoic eyes. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But it's like a lot of this stuff is a revelation. It has to be something that becomes a revelation to your heart. Let me go to church for a second.
Oh,
Jesus asked the
wow.
question, right? Shia.
Why do we
Jesus.
sing? No.
No, Jesus
Oh.
asked the question, not someone. All
Oh,
right, so
oh, okay. Okay. I'm on track. I'm on track.
but Jesus asked the
He's
question
ready.
to he asked the question to his disciples, to Peter. He says, "Who do men say that I am?" Right? And he says, "Well, they say that you are whatever they said he was. All the John the Baptist, blah 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 blah." And he says, "Okay, well, who do you say? Who do you say that I am?" And he says, "Thou art the Christ, Son of the living God." Right? And then Jesus says, "The Holy Spirit revealed that to you. Flesh and blood didn't reveal that to you.
Hmm.
Flesh and blood or just natural everyday works didn't reveal that to you. It was the Holy Spirit that revealed that to you. Knowing who one another is and knowing who a person is worth, recognizing another person's worth is a spiritual reality. And a lot of times we're trying to have a natural reality of who a person is or trying to come up with a natural way to understand who they are. But it's a spiritual reality. It's a spiritual sight that comes in. So he says, but he said, oh, flesh and blood didn't reveal that to you. And I say to you, Peter, that thou art, he called Peter, he says, you are a rock. And upon this rock, I'm going to build my church. He didn't even necessarily call him by his name, even though the name Peter means rock. He saw his spirit. He didn't say you are Jesus. He says you are Christ, Son of the living God. So when I look at angel, I can easily just say, oh, you are Satan. Do you know? Do you know
Thank you
me
guys
by
so much
my?
for joining us today.
I'm over here trying to sell his book. He calling me out my name.
Oh,
Hi, Chrissy. Welcome to the show.
hey, Chrissy.
Chrissy.
To
Oh.
understand a person's worth, we need to know them by their spirit.
Mm.
That's
Hmm.
what I'm trying to say, basically.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that goes back to this word. The word of the evening is deficit. It goes
Deficit.
back. It
So
goes
Charles said you're supposed to say it on the
back.
clap.
Deficit.
Deficit. Your turn,
Deficit.
Lee.
Deficit.
All
Very
right,
good.
quiet.
Very good. Good. Oh Lord, Lord,
Deficit.
Oh, not them
almost,
fingers. Not
almost,
them
you're almost
fingers.
there. But it goes back to that idea of deficit. When you have been deprived devalued, uh, unloved in the way that you have been giving it, unappreciated for the things that you have been doling out in the relationship, and it has not been reciprocated. It's very difficult to feel worth.
Mhm.
It's very hard to embrace, the spirit of who you really are and your authentic self and everything you've been called to do and be, and it's hard. It's hard because you're missing these pieces, and you've been giving so many pieces of yourself and overextending yourself. And I'm overextending because when we talk about finding our part, and identifying our part in these relationships, you also have to identify your part in the deficit. You have been overextending yourself.
And
Not
why do we
necessarily.
overextend?
Why do you overextend? Because you had a deficit and you trying to get something back. And that goes back to what is the character and the spirit behind the actions and the reactions. You're trying to get something that you don't have, or trying to get something that you're not getting, versus things happening naturally.
Hmm. So is
Mm.
Um,
that
or,
that is that a difference in between we should be bridging the gap versus filling the gap? Is that
I feel like that. I also feel like, you know, what's the quote? Be who you needed when you were younger. That's
mm-hmm.
something that comes to mind. You're trying to give out all the stuff that you need, versus finding a way to articulate and communicate your needs.
Mm-hmm.
Finding a way to request what it is that you need, describing what you need, identifying what you need, and asking for it.
LeAnzar,
Ooh,
do you need some assistance right now with
I
your
got
light
it.
bulb? You
I
got it.
just broke the light shade, but I fixed it. I got it.
Right.
Okay.
But these are things, and this is a mature relationship. In a mature relationship, we learn how to do these things at some point, communicate effectively, and not just throwing words at each other, and being able to identify what's missing, what do I need today, what do I need right now, why am I acting like this, or
Hmm.
why am I doing so much, and finding a way to say this in a way that somebody else understands it. We talked about love languages in the last couple of shows, but mine is not yours. So what is it that I need that's different? Because I'm giving you one thing, and that might not even resonate with you. So I might feel like I'm overextending myself, but that ain't what you asked for.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
what I want, or what I need, or what I'm missing, but that's not what you require.
Mm.
But because people
Mm.
don't have conversations, they're not communicating about that, we're just throwing stuff at the wall and hope it stick,
That's good.
versus actually being intentional
Like the
about
spaghetti, like it's a noodle.
it. Right. I mean, I ain't know like it's a limp noodle. You
Or
throwing limp noodles on the wall, hoping it stick, as opposed to really having the conversation, being intentional about relaying that information. This is where we are, and this is where we need to get to. That interdependence and shared dependence and codependence, and nobody really wants to work on. That's what that's for. What was that word? What was that word?
Co-regulation.
Per your
co
last email?
co
Co-regulation.
co-regulation.
Co-regulation, right? There's something that's off that I'm trying to regulate. Help me regulate it.
Mm-hmm.
How can
Hmm.
you do
Hmm.
that? I'm not expecting
Hmm.
you to read my mind. Well, actually, most of us do. We expect
We
I
do.
expect
Hmm.
you to read my mind, but I can't expect you to read my mind. I have to be in a position and a certain level of maturity so that I can even articulate that for you.
Come on, love's great design.
Oh, this we're talking about. I
Oh,
mentioned
what's
this. We
that?
talk about this a lot, and
What's that?
in Love's Great
What's
Design.
that?
If you're
It's in the
interested,
glare. Can you put it back
if
on the other
you're
side,
if
please?
you're interested if you're
Okay.
interested, in
Yes.
finding more about
Mm-hmm.
that co-regulation process, you can pick up a copy of Love's Great Design It's a 52-week devotional about love,
About
All
love.
right.
uncovering the power and purpose of human relationship.
Come on, somebody. Come on,
Yeah.
Mm.
somebody. Y'all check them out. Check them out. Thank you guys for tuning in to Reciprocity. We're talking about the give back, and it's brought to you by Sweet Spot Media. We have the illustrious Angel Simmons and the doctor, the teacher, LeAnzar Stockley, here with us. Um, Everybody that's on here, shout out to everybody, man, everybody.
Got
Our
some more?
recent chime ins, David, thank you. Chrissy, thank you. Rakeem. And Chrissy has a question that um, of course, is mind blowing because Chrissy is mind blowing. So, what if you've been in a relationship where you've overextended yourself and getting no reciprocity, and now the person who wasn't reciprocating finally is, but now you don't want to, and it's been 10 plus years?
Okay.
Woo! You tapped
All
and
right.
tuckered. That means you tapped. Come
Okay.
on, Doc.
Here go
Doctor,
the his
He
Doctor
has
and
tagged
LeAnzar
himself
Stockley.
in.
this is the relationality specialist talking seriously, like
Yes.
real talk, because and this is what we don't want to say, generally. And when people get to these places in their relationships where it's now, well, now I don't even want to. Okay, I am going to say in that spaces we got to check ourselves, because what we're in essence saying is that now we have shifted from being about being who we are to now going into the same space that we just cried about not getting
A
from people.
deficit.
So now and it's a deficit. So here's the thing, like Chrissy said, where you've overextended yourself, right, and getting no reciprocity. The overextending of yourself is your fault or is your responsibility.
It's your part in it.
Overextending, because again, usually when we're overextending, and it's not saying shameful, be shameful
Right,
about
right,
it.
right, right,
It's
right.
just saying to
Yeah.
recognize why
To
you were
acknowledge it. Yeah.
overextending.
Hmm.
You were overextending because you were trying to compensate for something you were supposed to be getting. And this is what we all tend to do. All of us do it. We're trying to compensate for what's missing. I'm telling y'all right now, all of this talk about self-love and all of this, whatever, this stuff is not, we shouldn't even have to have that conversation. The reason we're having to talk like this today is and the world is becoming more self-ish, self this, self that, and self-trending, is because of all of the deficits that have been there. We really have to go to this on a level and say, I recognize that I have overextended myself. If I've overdone something, I've burned myself out. I'm burned out. Right now, this is not, again, this is not saying in a shameful kind of way, because you're trying to make up for what's missing. That's how we are as beings. That's how we're designed. Like, we try to make up for what's missing. All right.
Right.
So first thing is to go into where the issue is, the trauma, the whatever has happened within us, and owning that particular space that's happening for us. Right. I've overextended myself because I wasn't getting whatever from the people around me, the person around me, or whatever the case may be. All right. And then now this person has come in now and they're trying to do what you said you want. But now you're them. You've become them. So are you going to, indirectly, you're holding a grudge. You're holding a grudge to them because they didn't give you, and again, it may not be directly you're saying, you bad person, you didn't whatever, but your burnout, your overextending, your whatever the case may be, now has you saying, man, F it, forget it. I don't even want this from you. I don't even whatever. We have to see where we are not healed. The decision now to not want it and to not whatever is not coming from a healed place. It's not coming from a whole place. The word reciprocity, we were talking about this when we were saying that reciprocity is a word about, y'all really study this stuff on a deeper level. Again, it's not a give and take, tit for tat. It's about wholeness. Reciprocity is about wholeness. It mirrors with the word integrity. Integrity is not, I'm not talking about the morality of integrity. The second definition of integrity, which is basically about wholeness, oneness, interdependence. Is all about oneness. So what we're in essence saying when we decide, well, I don't even want it no more. Well, now we're throwing a natural tantrum. I do it all the
And
time. We're throwing a fit.
is your love tarnished when we do that? Is your
We
love
shut down. I think we
wavering or
shut.
failing when we get
Yeah,
to that
we
point?
we shut down our we and again, not saying shut down on purpose or whatever,
Yeah.
but we shut down ourselves from being who we really are. This is why everybody's triggered and traumatized now. Is because we've shut down who we really are in order to accommodate for all of this stuff that's going on around us, instead of really positioning ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I'm not speaking to one individual. Instead of positioning ourselves for this thing called reciprocity. I couldn't wait for this particular show because y'all hear me say all the time, the message is to everybody. Mm-hmm. This is the show for that. This message is to everybody. Everybody has to do their part to be built up in love, because we're going to leave somebody's going to end up as the weak link. And what weak links do in our society is wreak havoc, cause hell, or sit over in the corner in pain and blow their brains out in some kind of way. When we decide that we're just over this in the ways in which we're speaking about, we've committed spiritual and emotional suicide. Because we're not even, and we're not forgiving. We're not even given the opportunity now for what we say we wanted to come in. So then the question will begin to arise. Were you giving because you were just trying to get back? Or were you giving because you were truly giving out of who you are and who you were? Love will rein us in. And I'm not talking about rein us in as in make you hold back. But love, we are afraid sometimes when we talk about love with all your heart, we're afraid that love is going to send us off. It will not. Love gives us wisdom. Love gives us wisdom. And love isn't telling us to overextend. All right. Whatever that may look like, because that may look like different things for different people. But we got to really explore, what does overextend mean and why did we do it? And where did it come from?
I'm glad you brought that word, that prefix over up again, because that's a word we've used since probably we could talk, right? The word over. So the true definition, and over presents itself as a preposition, as an adverb, and as a noun. And I think very much so relationally, we utilize it as an adverb, and it's beyond and falling or hanging from a point.
Mm.
I know. Beyond and falling or hanging from a point. That has so much weight to me. That has so much weight.
Yeah. Yeah. And thinking of that beyond and hanging over to a point. It's like, again, let's use the example of you're a tree. You're a tree and you produce fruit after your own kind. So what we're doing in overextending, you producing all the apples ain't overextended. That's you being you. That's you producing what comes
That's
from
what you
you, from the
designed to
spirit
do.
of, yeah, that's come from the spirit of who you are, right? That's that fruit of the spirit in you. But what we tend to do when we overextend, we start making artificial fruit. We start making extra, other than what just comes naturally from who we are and being our being, right? So now we're hanging by a string because we're utilizing ourselves in ways that is not life-giving to us nor to the other person, honestly.
Very good. Very good. Chrissy, we hear you. We're tired. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
we're
yeah,
tired.
yeah,
I'm guilty. I am.
yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Rakeem wants to know, so if we could just kind of reiterate what is shared dependence. If we could reiterate what shared dependence is again.
Shared dependence is something that just plainly, I depend on you for certain things. You depend on me for certain things. LeAnzar made the example earlier. We can't tickle ourselves. Somebody has to do that for you. Some of my friends can't cook. They bring me ingredients. I produce goods. Um, if I'm in a relationship and in a house with somebody, at the end of the day, my feet hurt.
Hmm.
I could rub my own feet, but that's really not. It's really not what needs to happen. Somebody else is gonna rub my feet. I'm gonna rub his feet, and we're that's a shared dependence. That's an example. Real life, shared dependence.
Or interdependence. Just the word
Interdependence. We
interdependence
need
is
each other. I
mhm.
rely on you for things. You rely on me for things that I can't do myself, or wouldn't do myself, or just take somebody else. And I think that's a difficult concept these days, because we
Yeah.
have been conditioned by society to be self-reliant and
Be
be
independent.
independent. Be
Hmm.
independent. We talk about
And not
self-love.
dependent.
We talk about self-love and self-care. And the truth of the matter is, I would rather have somebody I know and love rubbing my feet than to have to go and pay somebody that I don't know and ain't never met before rubbing my feet.
I'm sorry. I don't like masturbation. So I'm just gonna say it the way the people understand it. I'm not a fan. I am not.
Okay. All right.
that doesn't mean I hate myself. It doesn't mean I don't know my body. It doesn't mean that I.
So far from where I was, and yet
Yet,
it is so related to this question.
the words and
I'm depending on
expressions stated
somebody
do
else.
not reflect the feelings of Spot Media.
Yeah, dude. I, we would rather have somebody else do it. You don't have to do it
Oh,
Or
Jesus.
somebody else to do it with. I mean,
on any given Sunday.
yeah,
Any.
yeah, and it doesn't mean you can't go off to the corner on some days by yourself. I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm just saying for me. But it is. It's an
Random.
interdependence. We you can't be. Everybody's promoting be independent
Mm-hmm.
and don't be dependent. But
Mm-hmm.
the truth. Here we go to truth again. When I say truth, I'm talking about the way God designed it, is that we be interdependent.
Mm-hmm.
And if we really look deep into it, the truth is nobody's truly independent.
Listen, Eve
You ain't no
was
self-made. I'm a self-made millionaire, are you?
Eve was helping Adam's meat, right? I'm sorry, she was a help meat. Was
Oh,
she was helping the meat?
wait,
Just
wait.
saying.
Say what?
She was put here for a reason. Adam wasn't helping his own meat. He was given a help meat. Somebody was helping Adam's meat. That's all I'm
And
saying.
and the depth of that. These terms feel extreme for people, but the depth of that.
Charles,
Eve
Charles, Charles said, wait.
Eve Eve coming in as a
She was
helpmeet.
helping
Ooh.
his meat.
Eve
Oh,
Eve coming
oh.
in as a helpmeet literally translates, y'all.
Literally.
Ezer Kenegdo, it translates as lifesaver.
And then life happened after she helped his
And
meat.
life
Oh.
happens. We see these things in a linear format, or we see them it's really it's a circle. It's a circle. It's a circle. It's a circle.
That's a
And
sucker.
the whole universe moves in a circle. It's a vibration. Vibration moves circular.
My
Right.
sister said, mate, not me. Well, they made it. And then we
Well,
met Cain, Abel, and Seth.
right. Well, technically, we've translated it to help mate because we like sex. It was originally help meet.
It was help me.
The original, if you go to the original, it's originally help meet. Help mate is more so like let's mate, let's pair, but let's you
Yo,
know
this done took me
Yeah,
out, y'all. Like, I got nothing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm over here struggling. I'm over here struggling real hard. I'm struggling. I'm
just saying.
struggling. Oh
Here we
man.
go. Rakeem, did we answer your question?
Rakeem, look.
Rakeem
Let us,
probably
Rakeem, I'm
left.
sorry.
He
Right.
probably like,
yeah,
listen.
Right.
Rakeem, you left us there. Let us know, Rakeem, if we need to go further with shared
Jesus.
dependency.
No, but you know what? But even that, even the reason that no one wants to depend on anybody else. Again, see, we got to start. I think we have to go to the root of these conversations because it's like the reason nobody wants to depend on nobody else is because we make it look so bad. Like one, yeah, you're gonna have people that are suckers. They just suck your life away from you. But again, it paints a bad picture for everybody in a sense because it makes it look like if I said to Angel, I need some. We don't like to say I need anything
Yeah.
Listen,
because it's. Go ahead.
it
Go ahead.
goes back to deficit. and how most of us have been living from a deficit. We are terrified to say to somebody else, I need you for blah, 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 because we have said that before and been left out, left down, left astray, left alone, left out, left hanging. Okay. And
Left to ourselves.
we weren't able to get what we needed even when we asked for it. So it becomes a terrible challenge for me to fix my mouth and say, hey, can you pick me up from blah 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 blah? Because the last time I asked somebody to pick me up, they didn't. Or
I
the
was left
last,
at the airport a couple times.
and I had the Uber or whatever. We have experienced that deficit for so long that we don't even want to go there again. We don't want to ask nobody else
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I'm expecting you to let me down because I've been let down so much. I'm expecting you to do it because they did it,
So then we're
or maybe because
operating.
you did it last. Maybe you did it last time. I'm gonna ask you again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rakeem is still with us. Thank you, Rakeem. And I'm glad you asked this question because my follow up with this, and it's going to address your question, but I'm still going to read your question. Angel has it posted already, but I'm still going to read your question out loud after I describe or after I share some effective ways to build interdependence, which is, equivocal to reciprocity, which is the title of our show. Practice self awareness, nurture friend and family relationships. So we'll just say nurture relationships. Number one, practice self awareness. Number two, nurture relationships. Number three, and I think we forget this often, is to set personal goals. Number four, don't be afraid to say no. Number five, be vulnerable about your fears. That's hard too. Number six is speak up for yourself. And that equates to that ties in with saying no. Number seven, check in with each other often. So I'll read them again with no interruptions. Self awareness. Number one. Number two, nurture relationships. Number three, set personal goals. Number four, don't be afraid to say no. Number five, be vulnerable about your fears. Number six, speak up for yourself. Number seven, check in often. Um, so to your question, Rakeem, what if most of your life you haven't received equal and fair treatment? Can you develop reciprocity in your relationships? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you
Yes, you
can.
did.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you
Yes,
can.
you can.
Somewhere, and I remind people too. You guys can come on screen if you wanted to. There is a link if y'all wanted to actually come and ask your question face to face. But I know some of
Because
y'all,
it's Sunday and we know y'all looking good because y'all look good on Sundays in
Good.
particular.
in
Good.
particular. But to his question too, it's like, yeah, we definitely can develop reciprocity in our relationships, but you got to start somewhere.
Hmm.
And I think what it is we've all been
You
so
have to be
traumatized.
vulnerable to
You
start
gotta
somewhere,
be,
though.
yeah, and see, and people walking around thinking they bossing. You ain't bossing because you
Hmm.
pulled away and isolated.
Mhm.
You ain't bossing because you decided to cut everybody out of your life.
Oh,
You
that's. I
ain't
feel like
bossing
he's talking
because
to
you
me.
decide you're not bossing because you decide I don't got time for this or got time for that. We're bossing when we actually apply the principles of nature that God has given us to be relational beings. When we decide to say, listen, I haven't had this my whole life. But the mere fact that you can tell me that you didn't have it says that now you can start shifting things to get it.
You can receive it, y'all.
Or even beyond that, you can become it. Because
Hmm.
any and all of this thing, it's just words until we embody it.
Until you put it into action, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so if I don't ever, I can say, oh, I didn't have anybody to love me my whole life. I've never seen a picture of unconditional love. So the hell what? You know what it is, or you know how to find out what it
Or
is.
you know what it's not.
And you know
you
what
know
it's
what it's
not.
not.
So you start aligning yourself to what it is and you become it. And again, this doesn't mean that you're finna control everybody else and they finna automatically just start doing what it doesn't mean that. But somewhere, somebody got to have balls enough to say, I'm going to start it. I'm going to do it. I'll be honest. A lot of things that I've done with relationality, with a lot of I felt alone in it because I feel like sometimes I'm having a totally different conversation than other people are having when we start talking about love and this is that and the other. But I mean this stuff when I say it. When I say I am love for you, I mean it. This doesn't mean I've perfected it. It doesn't mean that I've gone a lot of my life feeling like questioning who loves me unconditionally.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, can I name at least 5 people that love me unconditionally? One of the reasons that y'all see me say everything on social media that I've become a little bit more transparent than I ever used to be is for the very reason of that I'm aligning to what I believe this is. Nobody knows each other because everybody's keeping everything under, and then but we think we're going to have better relationships, or we think we're going to have a better world. Now when you expose yourself and expose that vulnerability, are you going to get smacked and hurt?
Right.
Probably,
Right.
probably, probably. But at the same token, to not do it, how much longer are you going to go through this life suffering because nobody's loving you, or because nobody knows you, or because you refuse to be vulnerable? So they're only now loving your shell.
Mm.
They can't love. They're unable to love a soul they can't get to. So it's risky. It's extremely risky, and it can cause some hurt. But I'm trying personally keep going, trying to keep going. How many times you gonna have to correct some people and say, okay, what you said was a little hurtful? How many times you gonna have to say, okay, friend, what you just said, I get that you didn't mean no bad intention, but that's not helpful to me right now.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So when you start to learn, you align yourself to, I don't want to necessarily say to teach it, but you're modeling it. You're beginning to model the very things that you need, and until we do that, you still ain't gonna get it.
Mm.
You're not gonna get it until you're aligned. And again, we can't control what other people do, but our lives, we become that living word, that living epistle that people get to read every day and hope that at some point the eyes of their heart becomes enlightened to it.
One thing that I'm pretty sure this was on that list that Bryson just read, um, but just in relation to your relationships with other people, you have to be extremely intentional about nurturing those spaces that are feeding you already, and making that exchange of interaction a regular thing, a habit that you put
Yeah.
effort into, so that you can start to see things a little differently in the spaces that you're in. You'll recognize that there are more people that are like-minded. When you open up a little and have some of that vulnerability. Everybody that knows me knows my hashtag is no new friends. But
I don't know how I slid in.
I
I
don't
don't
know
even know.
how I don't know how LeAnzar got in. I don't
I
know
don't
how
know how I
Bryson got
slid in.
in. I don't know how Chrissy got in. Chrissy was, like one of the last few on the list. I don't know how these people keep getting into my it's a circle. I don't know how these
Oh,
people keep getting in my circle, because it was extremely intentional for me not to make new friends because of the experiences that I had had. Um, in the past, and because of me as a giver and a helper and a healer and
You
all
know
that
how we
other
got in?
stuff. What was that?
You know how we got in?
hmm?
Reciprocity is how we got in. The
There
soul,
you go.
our presence in your life became some kind of fulfillment.
It was, and I recognize the like-mindedness. I recognize the spirit of the friendship in these individuals that have made their way into my bubble. I had a conversation recently with a dear friend of mine, and it was something along the lines of I'm always listening. I'm always a listener. I'm always available. And they didn't want, that to be the only interaction. Um, and it kind of changed some thinking for me. Okay, does that mean I need to share? I got to share more. I got to talk. You want me to talk more? Because for the people that know me, they know I can talk. We have no issues with that. But there's some other folks that I keep at a distance that I'm only going to say so much and I'm only going to talk about these subjects, and some things are just off limits. And I had to really be intentional about some of those relationships, and how much more I was willing to share. And then I had a whole nother situation over here with somebody I'm kind of always another counseling listening ear for, that I had to say, you know what, everything ain't going all right for me. Matter of fact, here's a list of everything I'm dealing with, or trying to give you, this is what I'm struggling with this week. This is this week's struggle, so people can see, okay, I'm real, I'm human, I'm a person, I got difficulties as well. Um, and that has made a tremendous difference in both of those relationships, both of those interactions, because I guess because I'm being a little more open. Um, whereas for me, it didn't matter to me.
Mhm.
I'm your friend. What else you want to know? But
Mhm.
I think it takes that intentionality in those spaces, and really looking at how much we're willing to give, versus
Willing.
how much we're actually giving.
Willing is one of the first words that I believe when people say what you look for in a relationship is like a willing person. Willingness is one of the top key, and I've heard very few people talk about it, but it's
Now
one of the top things that we need. You need somebody that's going to be willing, able. Okay, but guess what? Able ability is a skill.
that you learn
Willingness
and
is
improve over time.
willingness is an right. Willingness is an attitude, a disposition, and whatever that we have. So even
Okay.
if you're not fully able, but you're willing,
But most
I
Mhm.
people
mean,
come into a relationship talking about deal breakers versus willingness.
yeah, yeah.
They'll tell
But
you what
again,
they
where does
ain't
that?
gonna
Where
do.
does and the thought is, where is that coming from? Why do we even
It's
approach this
coming
stuff this way?
from the deficit.
We, we've completely lost sight of the fact that, listen, we are relational beings by nature, not by socialization, by what we are. Relational beings by nature. You do not see an apple tree trying to push out apples, trying hard to push out apples. Why are we trying so hard to have relationships if it's at the very natural core of our being? It says that we've lost something, or we've left something, or there's something that we're not allowing to rise to the surface. And I get it, don't get me wrong. It's like, yeah, everybody's been abused and misused and, whatever. So it's like, and that's why I'm always confused. Like, where do we really go with the conversation? Because we can answer all of the exceptions all day. We can answer all of the valid. I posted on, I think, one of the posts for this. All of what people say is valid, but we're feeding and living off of validation
Hmm.
of what it is we've gone through, instead of moving to the point of how do we now move and live in the truth of reciprocity, live in the truth of what there is for humans to thrive, what we need in order to. And a lot of our needs and stuff like that sometimes is getting mixed up in our just our little wants, and us not having control of our flesh. So we need all of this extra little whatever. But if what I'm wanting, my desires are overshadowing my nature and the natural flow between you and I as relational beings, I got to look at not you as the culprit. Sometimes it's what I'm asking for that might be the culprit. Sometimes, like it's So we really got to start asking the difficult, hard questions to ourselves. What's really happening here? I'm not saying relationships shouldn't be effort. Like, there is effort you have to put forth. And the Angel used the word intentionality. There is, and here I'm gonna go to this word, because I don't even want to say that they're work. They're expressions. This
Hmm.
should be an expression. A tree by its fruit, right? So when an apple tree produces apples, it's expressing itself. But if we don't know the spirit of who we are and we just know the personality of who we are, we're going to sabotage a whole bunch of our relationships too, because we're hanging in personality and we're never going to spirit of our being. We're never going to all this divorce and separation. Divorce rate is what, 50%. For second marriages is 65% or more for people to get married a second time. And this is, and then if you don't even include people who never actually legally got married, if we just talk about breakup period, this is ridiculous, folks. This is absolutely ridiculous for relational beings. Every day, oh, that wasn't the one for me. No, maybe we haven't figured out how to be who we are. Or it's like to be who we really are and to align ourselves to that. And again, we cannot complain if we are not being authentic, if we're not doing the expression and work to become the most authentic part of our beings, then to a certain degree we can't complain too much. We have to figure out how to align to our authentic self and then allow nature to take its course.
And if we don't do those things, I see a couple of questions that I feel are similar, but if they're not, the guests who shared them definitely elaborate. So we're not willing to do these things, and I'm really glad that you spoke on the difference between willingness and being able or the ability. That speaks volumes. That's a clear and concise definition, because we always hear every able body, whatever, right? But the willingness, that's a whole different story. I like that. So if we're not in that space, are we manifesting rejection? Are we already coming in prepared to get out?
I think if we're not, ask that again, the way you just said that.
Are we
if we're not in that space, are we manifesting rejection?
Or already coming in prepared to get out? So I'm doubling up two questions because I feel that they share the same space.
I think I wouldn't even necessarily say that we're manifesting rejection. I really would say we somewhere. Let me say this lightly, because maybe we're rejecting ourselves. When I can't receive, I'm rejecting myself.
I mean,
if I refuse to give
that apple tree and we're not allowing ourselves to blossom and flourish and thrive as we're designed to do, as that tree is supposed to bear the fruits, then I guess so, right?
I am.
We're rejecting ourselves, right?
If I'm withholding, I'm using an apple tree example. I'm this apple tree that is supposed to naturally produce apples, and I decide, well, I don't want Brysen to eat none, so I ain't gonna make none. I'm rejecting myself. Even this whole idea that people, you be careful who you give such and such to. I get it. I do get it. Trust me, I get it. And you know where I see Christians use the scripture where Jesus said it's not good to give the children's bread to swine or something. Something like that. But read the rest of that. People need to read the rest of that. Because the same person he said that to, he healed, he worked with, he dealt with, he was quoting, he was actually coming from what the law was, not from what love was or from what love is. But we use these things to fuel our defense mechanisms and to fuel us from actually being a tree that just naturally produces love. And here's the problem. I'm not saying don't have boundaries and all this stuff, whatever that the words people like to use. But if I'm a tree on a public street, but then we'll say, well, I just won't be public. But if I'm a tree on a public street, I can't control who comes and get an apple. When I go to the grocery store, I don't know those people, but it is my duty and my job to still respond lovingly to them, because that's who I am. And when I begin to shut those things down, it's like you're asking me not to be who I am. That's not going to answer anything. The only thing it's going to do is stop you from giving whatever this is that you got to that person. But it's not going to, it does not really fix the situation. It's like when people, somebody was saying, I saw a lady was talking about how like everybody now wants to sage their houses and get rid of negative energy and all this, whatever. And we're sweeping it out our front door. Well, energy can't be destroyed, right? right? So guess where it's at?
In you.
It's still it's probably in you or still sitting outside your front door. You ain't done nothing. All you did was shifted it around. And that's what we're doing. Even in our relationship, we're just shifting them around. We're just shifting them around so that it makes us comfortable. Again, you ain't bossing because we're not bossing because we cut people off. And we say it with pride, but I'm not saying that there are not times when this has to happen. But again, you wouldn't even be in that situation if we can figure out as a people, as a collective, how do I make sure that I align myself to be what Marnisha needs? Even before she asks me for anything, how do I align? That's hard work that I have to do. Y'all, when I say I am love for you, that's LeAnzar's work.
But hard work is so much hard work for most people.
Mhm.
Yes.
When you think
Yes.
about what I got to do to, to meet your needs, to supply your needs, to be a good friend, to be intentional, to be
Mm.
reciprocal to our friendship, people don't think about that because they're selfish and they automatically think about them. Well, I'm over
And
here. I'm over here. I gotta do what I gotta do for me. I had a friend reach out to me yesterday to ask about another friend. Hey, have you talked to such and such? Oh yeah, we chit chat rap a couple of days ago. Yeah, I was thinking about reaching out. I said, well, why don't you? Well, I got a lot of other stuff going on in my life. I said, we all life is life and for everybody.
it is. Yeah.
Life be lifing.
It's life is life and for everybody. So you reached out to me to see if I've talked to this person. Did you think I
Instead of
ain't got
reaching out to the person.
you think that I ain't got no ish going on,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
Bryson is just always that person that stays connected with people. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to know
And,
through me, so that
and
takes
that's
the load
natural for
off of
you.
you.
And that's natural for you, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
that's what flows from you,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So to a certain degree, for you, that ain't even work, is it? It's just it's you in a sense being who you are. So it's like there's something I actually said this to my therapist today. I said, I've had so many people come to me and say, oh my God, LeAnzar, like it through our groups or this is that and the other. It's like, oh, this was amazing.
We
And
know
this
what
is
kind of
whatever,
groups you
whatever,
We
whatever.
know what
But do
kind of
you
groups these are.
but do you know that and even with my friends, like sometimes I'm not, how can I put it? Yeah, I don't do anything. I really don't do anything. There's not something would do. Now I try to respond, but the truth is, here's the thing. I remember having a conversation with somebody and saying, you're trying to the people pleaser stuff. So you're trying to be a people pleaser. You don't have to be a people pleaser. Just be pleasant.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
If that's what's really at the core of your heart,
Mm-hmm.
just be pleasant. I
Just be
said to
true.
people, just be true. When I was sick in the hospital and all this other whatever, I got everybody saying that they're gonna pray for me. I don't need you to do. Listen, listen. This is what I really need from you. When people say, "What do you need?" Whatever naturally comes to your heart, present it. If that's just a prayer, I'll receive it. If it's $100, I'll receive it. What comes naturally to your heart, and what was I doing in that? I'm asking people to just be you.
Be your authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
Just be your authentic self. You don't have to do nothing special. You don't have to do anything over the top. You don't have to overextend. If it came to your heart to send me $1,500, then
Yeah.
just do what your heart says. Because honestly, that's what I'm trying to align myself to, and that's all I really do. I've had friends that said that they were depressed. Do you know what came on my heart? Get on a plane and just go spend the day with them. I did it. It wasn't hard for me to do, one, because it was coming from who I am. It's just coming from the natural fruit of who I am. Now some things, there are times when things come to my heart and I'm like, dang, I don't even have the means to figure out how to make this work. So then I get frustrated. I do get frustrated, but I'm still sitting there looking, what is it that I can do? That came as a thought, but I can't, whatever. Some of this stuff, y'all, like I really feel like we just need to really align to try to figure out who we really are. And once you recognize that you are a Rakim tree, then just be Rakim. We're trying to manage other people.
Hmm.
I'm gonna manage who comes and get this. I'm gonna manage who shops in my grocery store. I'm gonna manage who whatever, and we're exhausting ourselves. And we're not becoming like the creator we were made in the image and likeness of. We've become judges, where he said, "Let me put them out of the garden because now you've become like me, judging good and evil." And again, I'm not saying don't have boundaries or whatever, but ultimately your boundaries are for you, not for other people. And we keep using it as this idea to keep other people out. And another thing with that is, as we're growing in who we are, our boundaries, we stick to the center core of things, but our boundaries should be doing this
Mhm.
Right.
to become a more inclusive person.
Right.
What's
Because
happening in our society right now is this retraction. It's a retraction. King, Dr. King saw something that everybody assented to at his I Have a Dream speech. He's been to the mountaintop, but none of them understood it.
Hmm.
Jesus had a message that everybody was like, okay, but obviously nobody understood it.
the more you keep your wall up, I think what people forget, we build these walls and we create these boundaries and all these things to keep out the negativity and to protect our energy and and the great things that could come that could be in store for us as well. So while you're building that wall is might be protect. You might think you might be protecting your boundaries and your space and your energy, but you're also blocking what's due to you as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
You
and
have to,
you're blocking your purpose
yeah.
more than we really realize.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think a lot of the hard work, or a lot of what we consider to be the difficult work in relationships, is really just consideration. When you really look at the word reciprocity, the first thing I thought about was the golden rule. Um, do unto others as you have them do unto you. But really just thinking about consideration. How would you want to be considered on your worst day, when you are acting the worst that you could be? How would you want to be considered? Um, and how do you consider, your the people that are in your circle, the people that you claim to care about? What do you do? What do you do with them and for them? Um, it's always something going on with one of us, one of the three of us. I really appreciated not having to be on the phone this week with y'all. And and I say
Hmm.
that because I know we had a show on Sunday. Wasn't nobody nervous about the show not happening. We ain't have to talk about it. We ain't have to do show prep because we kind of did that last one anyway. But LeAnzar sent me a text on Monday. He's just like, "You all right? You all right over there?" What'd I say? "Meh."
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all I had. He said, "Hell, I'll take it." you know, that's all I had. I didn't have nothing else. I had nothing else to give this week because I was giving so much to my job, and I was giving so much to, everything else that's going crazy. My car in the shop again. It's just so much. But
Lord bless the
how
little car now. Bless the little
back
car.
back in the car, back in the shop. But how do we consider each other? Sometimes it's just that check in and don't require a bunch of energy that ain't nobody got to give. Don't invite yourself to my house. My friends know that. If I
I ain't
ain't
never been there, y'all. I ain't
Ever,
I'm
never.
just
ever.
saying,
Do you
I haven't never.
understand?
don't invite
Ever.
yourself, because it's not always convenient. And when it's convenient, I'm gonna say, hey, this the day. If it ain't convenient, don't
But
invite.
then it might not be convenient for
It
us.
might not be convenient for you, but
Right.
LeAnzar ain't never convenient. His flights come in at 5 in the morning. He ain't never convenient,
Never,
you know.
never. I got to know folk love me.
Right. But that's how you want somebody to consider you, right? Somebody, that people consider you when they do things like, pick you up from the airport.
Hmm. It is. It
It's
is.
dark outside. It
And I
makes a
think.
difference when you're nurturing relationships with people who are constantly considering you, in what could be seen as the smallest of ways, but they mean so much. Because I ain't got it this week. Somebody want to go out to eat, and hey, you want to go out? I'm treating, because I
Mhm.
ain't I ain't got
But
it.
but ain't that isn't that where we start to tap into what love really genuinely even if we go to a biblical talk about love, a biblical definition of love where it talks about love, love God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself.
Yourself.
And then people automatically go to, oh well, I can't love you as myself if I don't love myself. That's bullshit. Here's the thing. Here, oh, did I say oops?
You said a few things today. It's all right.
Love the way I've studied and interpreted that. I'm going to love you as if you were me. Would I want to be stranded at the airport at 6 a.m.?
Absolutely not. And
So
I have been.
and it moves from a space of not just being a convenience to like you said, a consideration and a covenant to recognize,
Oh,
who.
that's the
But
word.
you ain't necessarily asking me to get up every day at 5 a.m. But it's like those things have to be taken into consideration. And even before asking you that, like, what do I say? I can probably figure out how to get an Uber or get something like that. That's early. Whoa, that's early in the morning.
And what I'm gonna say, boy, shut up.
Boy, whatever.
But, no Uber.
and what's really happening in that space is not even the action of coming to get me, or vice versa. What's happening is I see you the way you see me. What's happening is this is what reciprocity ultimately is about. It's about seeing one another as worthy. Seeing one another. You're worth me serving. In whatever kind of, you're worth me serving with my fruit. And not because you did anything to earn it, but because my eyes have seen the glory. My eyes understand the oneness that's there. My eyes understand that in some ways you are me. I am because we are. The Ubuntu philosophy, idea of things. That reciprocity. Listen, that whole story with have you all heard the Ubuntu story? One of the Ubuntu stories with the kids and the gentleman. The gentleman came and he offered them kids. It was a bunch of kids playing in the field. He offered him. He says, "Listen," and I can't remember if it was candy or fruit, but we're going to say it was candy or fruit. Candy or fruit. All right. So he says, at the end of that field, I put this basket of fruit and candy, right? And the first person that goes down there, that can run down there, race down there, you guys run down there and get it. The first person that can get it can have the whole basket, right? And he says, on the count of 3, when I say go, y'all go run. 1, 2, 3, go. They grabbed hands and ran down to the basket together. And he says, why did you do that? He says, because what does it mean for me to have all of this by myself? What does it mean if I'm sitting here getting fat and my friends ain't got nothing?
Right. I can't eat all this.
This is an Ubuntu philosophy. They have a mindset of oneness that recognize nobody won if anybody lost.
Unless it's Portillo's chocolate cake.
Unless
you can have it. You
lemon,
said chocolate.
Lemon.
If you had said lemon, we'd have.
Okay, well then it's mine. It's mine.
You lost me with that.
It's my inheritance. It's mine.
But that's the same thing with the bananas. What am I gonna do with all these bananas? What am I gonna do with them? I had to give them away. I couldn't do nothing. I can't eat them fast enough before they rot. I mean, literally, it was like bushels. What am I gonna do with them other than give them away?
Now you can't eat all them bananas because it'll shoot your potassium levels up and it make you sick. How you going to the bathroom? I did that one time
too.
before.
I certainly don't want them like
that. Your potassium through the roof.
I don't like them.
I don't even. That's the other thing. I don't like bananas.
Both of y'all lie.
I don't. not bananas. Maybe eggplant. Not bananas.
I cannot.
Corn. It's got the juice. No.
But no, it's really this reciprocity thing is so much bigger than what I think that the way society talks about it. It's like again, we look at it as you do for me, I do for you, and you are doing that, but it's not this. It's more of the spirit behind this, and I really believe this is how God designed us to thrive. This is how we're made, and when it's not happening, we see what we get. We have the deficit. We have and then when there's a deficit, people are trying to make up for it. And so then it becomes it becomes a string of trouble, a string of problems. And now we're trying to pull our way back to the center, pull our way back to how it really should be. And I think that that is extremely important. No relationship is going to thrive without reciprocity. Not no relationship is going to thrive without give and take. No
Mm-hmm.
relationship is going to thrive without reciprocity. Reciprocity is about extending ourselves, serving ourselves, and not only
Naturally.
that, but naturally, but it's also about receiving when someone tries to serve you.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Because a giver that has no one to give to is going to be miserable.
Mm.
I've had to learn this in such a I've had to let some people pay. I've had to let some because I didn't realize, how they say, oh, you blocking my blessing. Not even just so
Mm.
much of even about blocking the blessing. I think the only thing love wants is to be received. And if I decide that I'm not going to allow that to happen, I'm shutting down a system that God set up for us to really you don't have to look at it. I'm trying to look at it as I'm not necessarily being a receiver. I'm looking at it as I'm being a giver by providing you something to give to. Because that's our very core nature. We're providers. We're protectors. We're all of that. So it's like we have to really figure out how to allow that to function and flow between one another so that these relationships thrive. I love that word, that co-regulation and all that. It's so really the truth.
Yeah.
It's really the truth. It's really the truth.
Yeah. I think this is good. I think this is good. I think this is a great space to put a pin in it. Um, because y'all know we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back. I think there were great questions. I think there were great responses. I think there were great moments of transparency for everybody that's on this feed, that's on this thread. So I do want to take a minute and shout out everybody that came on, who stuck with us from beginning to end, who jumped in the middle, who jumped in at the end, who shared who shared what was on their heart, and divulged it, and even put up with us and our shenanigans that come in between our very serious moments. But it's always going to be a moment of shenanigans. I just can't help it. Sometimes I just be sitting here and I be looking at the screen because that's all I can do because I'm gonna fall out on the floor. But
It's called balance.
it's called
Mm.
balance, and somehow,
Look at it.
some way between the three of us, it works. It does work, and I mean, I think it is
Mm.
very important, with that Ubuntu philosophy that nobody won if one of us lost. That's where we are. That's what
Mm.
reciprocity is. That's what love truly is. I want to give you both a hot second to wrap up and to share your thoughts on moving forward after today, um, with reciprocity and love and generosity and being authentic and all of those things, and then also, of course, share. I saw some books flash up or something a time or two, so also share where we can stay connected with you both, and even if you have some new things that might be going on that we might not be aware of, you got 2 minutes. This is like the at the service at the homegoings. You have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes, and the music will come on, and or somebody will come pull your coattail.
Oh my gosh.
Angel, we'll start with you.
Oh, well, you can find me at angelsimmons.com, and you can purchase Love's Great Design, a 52-week devotional, as well as Target of Love, Surviving Narcissistic Abuse, a journey back to Love's Great Design. You can grab some shirts if there's shirts still there. I don't know how much we got, how much merch we got left.
Oh man, I meant to wear my shirt.
Whew, me too. Matter of fact, my final thoughts. Really going back to trying to find a way to get beyond the deficit that we have all experienced. This word has been so heavy tonight, and it really has guided the majority of our actions and reactions in relationships, in regards to intentionality, in regards to nurturing these spaces, in regards to our vulnerability and our willingness to be open in relationship. We have to be more open to seeing the fruit, the fruit that's on our tree, the fruit that's on other people's tree, and being fed, and as well as our commitment to serve one another. Trying to take all of these good things that we've been talking about tonight, but it's really all in how we are considering each other. Going back to the golden rule, how do you want to be treated? How do you want to
Mm-hmm.
be thought of? How do you want someone to respond to you, even at your lowest? How do you want somebody to respond to you? I think
Mm-hmm.
that is really the heart of reciprocity.
Mm-hmm. Um,
She's so smart.
Reverend Doctor, teacher, sir.
She's so smart.
She is. She more than just a pretty face, ain't she?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. She is. But anyway, so I forgot what we was doing at this last portion, but at this last portion I got two books that I have. This is the latest one. It is called Relationship Ready. And this for those folks that are, you think you're supposed to have a boo. You're supposed to be with a boo and you want one. A lot of times we're eager but not really ready. So this is the book for that. To kind of help us with that. And people that are in relationships and want to kind of refresh it. But I will say this too, even if you aren't in a relationship, the principle of this still will help. Right? Right? Because it's the principles are all the same. And then the Bible of Relationality. Um, this
Bible.
is this was my drop the mic, honestly, and this came before that one because like I don't have anything else to say other than what's in here. Most of the things that people hear me say is what's in here, and it ain't even that long, even though I can talk a long time. It's only 200 something pages, But these books, you can get them at my website, which is LeAnzarStockley.com. Um, and there's a page on there for that. And yeah, so and then final thoughts, I guess would be follow me on social media right there at Society61 is on Instagram or on Facebook. It's my name, LeAnzar Stockley. I'm the only one on there. Um, and then I guess the final thing that I would say in regards to this and the whole reciprocity thing, and it's kind of in touch with someone I think had asked a question about when other people are not really, basically when your vulnerability and all of those things, you put it out there and people are not responding to it. The question we got to ask ourselves is: are we going to be controlled by who they're trying to make us be? And I don't mean make as in a malicious way, but are you going to be, if you're an apple tree or an orange tree or a strawberry bush? I don't know how strawberries grow. Are you going to be that or
Or a
not?
mulberry bush.
Or a mulberry bush? Yeah. Are you going to be that or not? And I do get that it's difficult and that it's hard and that it seems like everything that comes against us seems to be so aggressive. We have to be just as aggressive in the spiritual way as things are that come and try to make us not who we are. So either you're going to be who you're going to be. You control whether you're vulnerable or not other people.
Absolutely. Um, Thank you both so much. Before we turn everybody loose, I do want to salute Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So whosoever, keep fighting. Keep fighting. We rock that pink for you, not only in color, but in our soul and in our spirit. So keep fighting. Keep fighting. Also, I want to give you guys, because you guys always teach yourselves, and I'm the same way because we are one. Angel Simmons at Love's Great Design at the Message Inc. At Message Inc. AngelSimmons.com. LeAnzar Stockley at Soul Society 61 at LeAnzar, um, and also LeAnzarStockley.com. Get their books. Check in with them, and I also wanted to share. I am Brysen. You can check me out at Sweet Spot Media, or you can follow me on my real Instagram page, the original Brysen. And before we let you go, thank you everybody who tuned in, who joined us. You'll see us again real soon within the next month or so. But I wanted to leave this on your mind that it's October. Not only is it Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it is mid-season of cuffing season. So
Mm.
it's tryouts. This is where it tryouts right now. Okay, you have to the 31st. You have to Halloween to get your tricks and your treats together. All right, tryouts October 1st through the
Trick or
31st.
treat.
Okay, and then come November 1st, that's preseason. So I need you guys to get it together, get it together. And if you don't remember anything else, if you don't remember anything else, I want you to try your best with this reciprocity thing. And I wish for everybody who is listening and all of us who are involved, may the love that you give have a million ways to come back to you multiplied.
Mm.
Hmm.
Um, that is it. That is all. Thank you for joining Sweet Spot Media. This right here, we were talking about reciprocity to get back. Come on, hands up.
What
Put
do
your
you
hands where my eyes can see.
do? You
I was
felt
trying to
that
get. I was trying to have a David praise. I was.
thing?
Oh no, oh no. Don't dance. We're not gonna dance like David did, Reverend. Not on live.
Good
Oh,
grief.
But thank you guys for rocking with us. You can find this on all of our pages. You can find me on at Facebook, Brysen Williams, on YouTube. What's my YouTube?
Bryson.
Brysen Williams.
Bryson Williams.
Okay, thank you, because these two keep me together. And follow up. You guys follow up. You guys follow up questions. Feel free to inbox us. Feel free to share somewhere on any of these threads. I would say inbox us because we'll see it quicker and we are quicker to respond. But we want to hear your voice. If anybody sees this after this show airs, feel free to reach out. I don't think it's too late. If you have questions, concerns, you want to share, or if you have even suggestions, do so. All right,
And
Sweet
invite us
Spot,
to speak. Invite
and
us to
invite
speak.
us
I'm
to
ready to
speak.
get back on the road. I'm
Let's
ready to
get
get
these
back.
people. Let's
Listen,
get the show back on the
we
road.
I'm
outside
ready to
now.
get back on the road.
Let's
Yeah.
get back on the road. Let's get
We
this
can
show back on
we
the
can do
road.
this show live wherever you want us to come.
We'll come to you,
We can
baby.
come to you.
Yes. Bearing
Have
our fruits
snacks.
and all. Bearing our fruits and all. Bro,
This is
bring our little
needed.
trees with us.
This is needed. This is
This
a
is needed.
ministry. Yeah.
And bless yours. Bless yours. Your ministry. But
You know.
yours. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We out. We out.
Good
Peace.
night.
I'm love for y'all.
And we love